Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode of The Unnecessary Gentlemen, a podcast where my friend Sean Doyle and I say, hey, Sean.
Hello.
There he is. Well, we talk about movies, comics, TV. I'm going to talk about video games later. Sean's going to ignore me.
I'm going to shuffle off into another room when that happens.
Probably, but I'm going to keep talking about it anyway. And, so let's just get straight into it, Sean. What you got in your newsy news hole this week?
Well, my news hole is pretty dry, so let me just lubricate it real quick. Okay, now everything's fitting like it should.
Good. Because we got a lot of news to get out of that news hole, so...
It's a tight news hole, so I didn't think everything was going to come out. But it's moving along nicely, and it's healthy. It's a healthy news hole. So... yeah, this kind of came as a nice surprise for a lot of people.
Even you?
Even me.
You're not easily surprised.
And I've never been happy in my entire life until this very moment, and I don't know what to do with this emotion.
Well, let's just talk it out, Sean. What happened?
Well, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. got renewed for a 5th season.
I saw that, yeah. Is that so? But is it confirmed as the last season, or is it just a 5th season?
No, it hasn't been confirmed as the last. It's such an odd show. Every season you think it's going to be the last just because it gets such low ratings, but somehow it kind of keeps going.
Yeah, I think after, I guess it was season 2 or 3, it kind of got moved to the death slot, like on Friday nights, right?
No, it's still on Tuesday nights. Starting with season 4, it got moved to 10 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock.
That's what it was. Yeah. But, yeah, I've heard, it's one of those things that I'd kind of like to get into, but I've heard the first season's a little rough. And
about first half of the first season.
Yeah, but, they're doing some cool stuff. They got Ghost Rider coming back, I think.
And season 4 has been pretty great, actually.
Just got a text from Higgins.
Higgins, why are you texting me at 12:06?
I think it's only like 11 in Omaha.
Yeah. What they've done with season 4 is they've actually, each season's 22 episodes. So they've split it into 3 story arcs instead of having just like one long story arc.
That's a really good idea.
It's really helped
pacing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really great. That makes sense because, see, I thought this season was already over because I knew the Ghost Rider thing was the big part in the first bit of the season. So when that ended, I just assumed like that was the end of the season. But I guess what else have they been doing recently?
Well,
not spoiling too much, obviously.
Yeah, that was like the first third of the season. The second part was called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. LMD, which was basically you had this life model decoy that was slowly turning evil. Which I won't get too much into. And then the third part was
Doesn't Nick Fury have those decoys? Like live model D, like doesn't he have a bunch of copies of himself?
Maybe.
I don't know. Robot copies?
I don't know if he does in like this universe.
Well, not in this universe, but I think like in the comics.
Yeah, he does in the comics.
So maybe they're just using that since they won't use it with Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson's like, I won't have it. Only the real Sam Jackson or nothing at all.
Yeah, but like the last third, which has also been really good, is called Agents of Hydra, which is, I won't get into spoilers, but they've been plugged into like a fake reality where like Hydra is in control and like S.H.I.E.L.D. is, trying to, like how you had in the Winter Soldier, like you had like members of Hydra hiding within S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And this you have like members of S.H.I.E.L.D. hiding within Hydra.
But it's all like virtual reality?
Yeah, but like they all think it's real. But it's been good.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's like I said, I know a lot of people have really just been on board with this show the last few seasons, so I'm glad it's going on. I like the stuff they kind of loosely tie in with the MCU. It's just I think you've talked about before, you don't have to watch this show to enjoy the bigger stuff in the Marvel Universe, but if you have watched it, it just kind of adds a little something. Like
one thing I liked leading up to Civil War is they made it a point in the show that, people are really on edge in this universe because all these superheroes have been popping up and the Earth has almost been destroyed about 40 times within about 3 years now. So everybody's on edge. So you kind of understand why there's a lot of people that kind of want this legislation.
Well, good deal. Well, hopefully we'll get some more news about that soon. Yeah. I'm on board to... Oh, maybe I'll jump on board soon. It's just there's so many episodes. 22 a season's a lot.
Yeah.
But... all right, well, that's pretty good. Well, I got some more Marvel news, more Fox related than anything though. We got some new stars for the X-Men New Mutants spinoff this week. Looks like Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones is
Wolfsbane.
Yeah, she's gonna be Wolfsbane, the character that turns into a wolf. Pretty appropriate for the Game of Thrones actress, but sure, I like her a lot. And Anya Taylor-Joy She was in M. Night Shyamalan's film Split. She's like the main character. She's pretty good in that. I'll talk about that a little later. But I think, let's see, it says she was going to play...
Magic.
Oh, she's playing Magic, yeah. Who is Colossus' sister. And I think in the comics right now is like the leader of... Or like the... She oversees Limbo or something. When a lot of that Inhumans X-Men War stuff was going down, she transports the X-Mansion to Limbo so no one can get to him, and then she transports it to Times Square.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just... So she's doing that.
So some nice comic logic right there.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it is. I imagine, though, her relationship with Colossus won't... I don't think they'll even use that, because he's being used in Deadpool 2, we know. And there hasn't really been any signs that they kind of want to connect these universes together. I know Deadpool can more or less just go to anyone he wants because he's Deadpool, but it seems to me that this X-Men film is going to be more of a serious film, kind of like, you know, the trilogies we've been getting with Apocalypse and everything. They kind of want to keep it, you know, in that realm. But who knows? I like the character of Magic. I don't know a lot about her, but I think her powers are pretty interesting. And the actress is, like I said, I've only seen her in that one movie, but she was pretty good in it. So this is the X-Men film I'm probably most excited about because it's something new.
Yeah.
Know? So.
Well, you don't want some more black leather suits and a lot of brooding?
Well, we're getting some more leather suits in Deadpool, I'm sure.
Well, let's hope.
There's not going to be much brooding there, though. Man, we'll probably get some more brooding in the Dark Phoenix stuff, though.
Yeah, that's all I want.
You think anyone else is going to lose their hair and it be a major plot point?
They built that entire trilogy around Professor X losing his hair.
Because it's such an important plot point.
That's what it was leading up to.
We're just like, I mean, let's be honest, we were all waiting for that moment.
It can't just be like, oh, he went bald as he got older. No. Like, it's an actual plot point.
I think they just wanted to go that way after First Class, but then they're like, well, we can't have that because we're doing all this other stuff, and we need him to, you know, kind of like how he gets his legs back in Days of Future Past. They're just like, it's fine. Plus, he's got beautiful hair. But, whatever. We'll have to talk about this movie some more soon.
Didn't he lost his hairdo to, Fright, I guess? Like, it was literally scared off of him?
No, see, I took that as, because in just Apocalypse was that the X-Men film they did. He transfers his mind. He wants to transfer his mind to Professor X. So I think when he does that, he takes the form just transfers over as well. Like, he always looks like a pop. So he's basically turning into Apocalypse, who's already bald.
Okay.
That's how I took it as. And also, he hit that stone tablet really hard. So probably just he used too much conditioner that week. It just slid right off. That's a movie. But yeah, any more news in your news hole?
I think we just watched a trailer.
Oh, we did just watch the trailer.
Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Looks interesting, yeah.
Blade Runner's a movie that I've never really got on board behind. I think I watched the right cut. I know there's like 17.
Yeah.
It's just, it didn't... I think it's one of those things that I waited too long to watch it.
It's an odd movie to watch now because it's one of those things where it's so original in its design, like the look of the future where it's like these dirty streets, but you have like all these holographic billboards and all that.
Yeah.
That was completely new when that movie first came out, but now every movie does it.
Well, that's the thing. It set the first movie set the precedent for what, you know, sci-fi worlds are, and you know, it gets credit for that, obviously. And I think the world is interesting. The characters, the concepts are all there. Like I said, it just didn't grab me. But you know, this one is directed. This new one, 2049, is directed by Denis Villeneuve, who did movies like Arrival and Sicario and
Prisoners.
He did Prisoners, which is great. Yeah, so that alone excites me. I think he's a really good sci-fi director. And visually, like, just from this trailer, I feel like they really nailed the aesthetic of this world, but kind of added something to it. You know, it's not just raining all the time. I mean, it's still raining in that one city, but we get some deserts, we get some snowy places. Yeah. We get Ryan Gosling.
Yeah,
he's going through a little journey. It looks like he's like, "Am I real?"
Yeah, it's playing into the whole idea of whether Harrison Ford's character is a replicant or not. Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the things they'll pick up. But I don't know. I think he's just in this movie to get killed. I think it's just what he's doing with all his franchises now.
Well, you have the moment where Ryan Gosling's character asks him, I'm here to ask you some questions that, mirrors the scene of Harrison Ford in the original.
Yeah, and that's just... You think they'll answer that? Because that's been like a long theory about that movie. Is he a replicant or not?
I think it's...
I don't think anything you do, like, if you answer it just 100%, no, there's going to be someone who's not happy.
Well, I think officially Ridley Scott says he is, and...
But then Harrison Ford says he's not.
So...
And who do we believe? One grumpy old man or a grumpy older man?
I don't know, one of them will fly a plane into me if I don't believe him.
Or put me in a really bad Alien film. Ugh. Which is a convenient segue into some other news I got. Ridley Scott just said he's only planning on doing 2 more Alien sequels instead of 5.
Yay.
I guess he looked on the calendar and realized his 80th birthday is coming up. But, I mean, that's probably a good call. I don't know if studios kind of put him up to that. Because this one hasn't even... Alien Covenant comes out next week.
Yeah, have you read any of the reviews for that?
I don't want to read any... I'm sure they're not 100% great. They're so...
Average.
Well, that's fine. I feel like we've had so many bad Alien movies. An average one is a good start. Yeah. But... That's what I'm saying, like, even if it's just average, that'll guarantee you at least a sequel or 2. But definitely don't just go out and say, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to do 5 when you haven't even released this one yet.
You hear that, James Cameron? I hope you hear that.
You can't hear it. He's deep down in that submarine.
James Cameron, listen to me.
Come up for air. But, yeah, it's like, I think a lot of studios have kind of realized that in the most recent years, because when a lot of these films have been coming out, they immediately announced 3 sequels before the first film. I think we were supposed to have 4 Amazing Spider-Man films.
Yeah.
And they, that fell apart. So, yeah, just focus on one movie at a time and then go from there. But, I don't know. We'll have more to say about Alien Covenant next week when we see it, which I know you're excited about.
Oh,
it's gonna be good.
Snoop. You know what you probably want in your life, Snoop?
I want a lot of things.
Probably want an animated Deadpool series.
Is that a thing that I want?
Yeah. You don't?
Is Ryan Reynolds gonna voice Deadpool?
I don't think so. Donald Glover is gonna be producing it.
Oh.
It's gonna be on FXX, 2 X's.
FXX.
Yeah.
I still feel like they're going to censor a lot of it.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's FXXX. Oh.
Wow, Snoop.
Yeah,
it's the wrong podcast for that. I apologize to you people.
So, Fox is pumping out a lot of X-Men related TV shows.
Yeah.
Is it official that Marvel has the Fantastic Four or something back in exchange for that?
They had to do some kind of negotiation because
we just saw they just released the Gifted teaser, which is about that. I think it's about a family who discovers their kid is a mutant and then they have to go on the run.
Yeah. So some kind of negotiation obviously happened because Fox had the movie rights to X-Men but not the television rights.
Yeah.
So
and Legion already came out, which they own. So my question is, Marvel wouldn't just give that to them. They had to have done some kind of tradesy. But what is it? Why are they keeping it a secret? I want to know, Sean. I'm stressed out.
I can tell. Calm down.
But no, I don't really. I mean, I'm sure people who are fans of big fans of the character of Deadpool are all on board for this. I want to see a little more before I think the movies are good enough for me. Because I've said about this. I've said this about Deadpool before. He's a character that can quickly get on your nerves if used too much. And I think the first movie found a good balance of that. Hopefully the second one does as well. I don't really have any worries right now, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. So this is interesting. Just started with this, actually. There's been a Hellboy reboot announced.
On the very first episode, we said this would happen, if you go back to it.
But we were thinking 5 years. They didn't even want to wait that long. They didn't even want to wait 5 days.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people are really upset about this because it's if you're just going to announce this right now, and Guillermo wants to make Hellboy 3, and Ron Perlman would probably do it, why aren't you doing it?
Well, didn't Guillermo del Toro basically was just kind of like, it's dead?
Yeah, but it's not dead because of him. Like, he's tried to get that movie made, but they just don't want to get behind him. So it's like, it's one of those things that we already have this trilogy that we didn't finish, and people are, you already have your built-in fan base. Why risk losing that?
Well,
I know they want to make this one grittier.
Yeah.
Which I guess is the reason, but...
Hellboy movies didn't make a ton of money, is the thing, probably.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Why would they think, okay, a brand new reboot is just what mainstream and fan base want to see? It seems odd because you already had your fans of the first two and the comics, because those movies are pretty good, especially if you're... I think people who read the comics are a big fan of those movies as well. So yeah, just why not just kind of really market the last one? That make the third one, really market it towards the bigger audiences when you already know you have your fans on it, instead of just trying to get a whole bunch of new people and the old fan base to get on board for this new thing. It just seems odd to do it this soon.
What studio's doing this?
That's a good question. I don't know who. Millennium, it looks like.
What is Millennium?
It's a thing. I don't know.
It's a movie studio?
It says Millennium is in negotiations with producers Larry Gordon and Lloyd Levin. And they want, let's see. Why are you asking me these questions I wasn't ready for? They want Neil Marshall to do it.
Okay.
Who has done... He broke out with The Descent, which I assume is a movie, and he's worked on Game of Thrones a couple times, maybe like a really scary episode. There's like White Walkers around. That's what I'm saying, like, and right now, we got a working title right now. It's Hellboy, Rise of the Blood Queen.
Huh.
It's gonna be so gritty. That's what I'm saying. I just don't know. I don't understand what angle they're trying to play here. Like, I wanted another Hellboy movie.
The only other thing I can think, because Hellboy 2, what was that, 2007?
Yeah, at the latest.
So that's been a while. They might be thinking, its time has passed, and, there are kids that have grown up that have kind of,
They're like, we watched that movie?
Yeah, or even haven't seen that movie, like they're past that by now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I guess. But that's the thing, they want to make this rated R, so that can't be it, because, I don't know, Sean. Who is Millennium? What are they thinking? Well, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm conflicted.
I can tell.
Hopefully we find out more. But yeah, I think it's weird. Like, Guillermo del Toro, this is kind of one of his big passion projects, and he's so good at his directing's hit or miss for me, but he's handled the Hellboy franchise pretty well, and his creature designs are perfect for that universe. Mm-hmm. So just let him make Hellboy 3. But
you're upsetting Snoop, Millennium.
Tell me where you are. Tell me what you are, and then let me tell you about how much I've been upset about this news. But let's talk about other news. We got an Edge of Tomorrow 2 title revealed. It's called Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat.
I don't like that.
I think it's just a typo, but they released it and they're like, people responded pretty well to this. It's fine.
Well, the original had like 3 different titles.
Yeah, it was Edge of Tomorrow, and then it was just Live and Die, or Live, Die, and Repeat.
Yeah. And
then it was Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, and Tom Cruise. And then Repeat.
And then the graphic novel it's based off of is called like All You Need Is Kill.
Yeah. I like that movie.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
And I have an irrational hatred of everything Tom Cruise, so...
I think I'm the only person on the planet who liked the title Edge of Tomorrow.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, because I always hear people like, well, the title made no sense. It's like, well, he's on the edge of getting to tomorrow. I understood it.
He's right there.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, but then he lives and then he dies and then he does it again. That stuff it just sells itself. But it's one of those things... That's a movie that kind of just stands on its own.
Yeah, you don't need a sequel to that.
No, I mean the thing is, I need to go back and watch it. But Emily Blunt's set to return. I don't know if Tom Cruise is. I assume he is, but maybe it'll just be a movie about her. Because they haven't really said a lot about what's going on. I hope it's not like a prequel up to the events before, like where he sees her and she's doing that weird push-up. Narratively,
because
they won the day.
Yeah. Well, she had the same thing happen to her.
That's right. She knew she was doing all those push-ups over and over again in that one scene. But I don't know. I like Emily Blunt, so, and I like the first movie, so I'll see where this goes. But it's a pretty dumb title. But so is Live, Die, and Repeat. So maybe they'll switch it at the end, like they did the first time, and then just call it Edge of Tomorrow, and we'll be like, wait a minute,
guys.
But it'll be an Edge of Tomorrow, but the 2 in front of tomorrow will be a 2, like the number 2.
I don't get it.
Like, you did it again, Hollywood.
Snoop, I know have you seen the new Wonder Woman trailer? I say that knowing you did.
Knowing that you forced me to watch the new Wonder Woman trailer, even though I said I don't want to watch any more Wonder Woman trailers.
That was funny when I did that. I had a good time.
I mean, I'm laughing now. At the time, I didn't think it was that funny, but in hindsight, it's pretty good. But the trailer was fine. It showed us a little more of the villain, which is Dr. Poison. Mm-hmm. Which she's just using mustard gas. I'm pretty sure.
She's just using mustard, like she's throwing packets of mustard at her
She just keeps them in that weird faceplate.
Yeah.
It's Heinz, too. She really just went all out.
They choose some odd songs for Wonder Woman, don't they?
They're doing the same thing they do. It's that Guardians of the Galaxy syndrome.
It's that, but...
Because they did it in Suicide Squad. And it kind of, like... It works for the trailer. It's not the movie, obviously, but... Yeah, well, even, her theme song...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Riff.
Even, like, they're giving her this, like, odd rock vibe.
Modern vibe.
And it doesn't really work.
No, it doesn't work for any part of the movie that, we see. Because all we've really seen is her growing up on Themyscira, and then she's in World War One. Like, so why? I don't know. I get, she's the warrior princess, but...
odd music aside, this movie actually might be good.
I think it can be good. I'm still not entirely... Like, there's some scenes where I'm like, because this looks like it's pretty action heavy. And there's some scenes I'm like, that looks really great. But there's other scenes, in this trailer in particular, there's a bit where she kind of jumps through the window. Mm-hmm. It just looks really cheesy and fake. Like, just when the glass breaks and everything. It's just like weird slow-mo 300 type effects, almost like Zack Snyder would do and his stuff. So, and I guess they want to kind of keep that same feel and look that she kind of had, that Batman vs Superman kind of had. So it's, but yeah, I'm interested to see more of the World War I stuff. I don't really care about. We see a lot of her child self, who, as I mentioned before, I just don't like that actress. Nothing, I'm sure she's doing great, but I don't want to see a lot of that. But I imagine we're just going to get multiple flashbacks throughout the film of her being a kid, hanging out with her aunt or her mom, saying, I'm going to go grab that sword.
Say that one more time.
I'm going to go grab that sword.
A little bit higher.
I'm going to go grab... But in whatever accent they have, the Themysciran accent. But no, Themyscira looks really good. I like the visuals of this movie.
I've been saying for a while, that's the biggest thing this movie has going for it visually.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like... Is that another case of what, we talked about before? Zack Snyder can nail visuals, and he's not doing this movie, so that helps me a little bit, but is the story there? That's the... Yeah. For me, a lot of these DC movies have looked good, but there's nothing there to latch onto, and I want them to fix that first. Like, you can make all these, like, crazy set pieces and action sequences and make them look really pretty, but do that after you make sure you've got a good script. So, I don't know. I'm more excited for this than I am for Justice League. I'll say that. I think it can be really good.
Okay.
Plus, it's the first Wonder Woman movie we've ever had.
Which is odd. We've never actually had one.
Right? She's she's arguably one of the most recognizable superheroes ever created.
Yeah.
And we've barely had any, like, solo stuff with her. The animated movie you showed me was really good, though. Yeah. 2009 one? It's great.
Yeah, that's solid.
Which looks like they're taking a lot from that for this, so I'm on board. Well, Sean, that's all I've got in both mine and your news hole. I looked in there.
Well, I'm going to need both hands to reach into both of our news holes. Give me a minute, Snoop. I don't think there's anything else.
I think we're good.
Okay.
There was a Orange is the New Black trailer released, but then I remembered I haven't seen Season 4.
No, you haven't. Season 4 is actually pretty good.
Yeah, so hopefully Season 5 will be good, too.
It's a big pickup from Season 3.
Season 3 is a season.
There's some stuff.
They go swimming.
Yes.
Pretty great. There's also a nasty subplot with underwear or something.
That involves news holes.
And Ruby Rose is in there. It involves a little more than your average news hole, that's for sure. Ugh. Well, Sean, that's all we got for the for our news, our famous segment, the Newsy News. I guess we could just get into that main topic of the evening.
Yeah. Why not?
When I say evening, I mean the night, because it's midnight.
I am very tired, people. I've been up since 7:30, and I got very little sleep.
Yeah. You've been watching a lot of movies, I assume, for our
I tried to watch
today.
one movie, and Netflix had taken it down.
Oh.
But that's okay.
You want to talk about it?
Well, okay. Well,
not right now.
Oh, okay.
We can talk about it during our other famous segment. Check it out.
Wow. Well, I didn't check it out, so how can I talk about it?
Well, you can talk about what you attempted to check out.
I'll bring it up during this, Snoop. You're making this very complicated. I'm getting very upset here.
I was all set to go into our main topic.
You don't look. Oh my goodness! Wow.
Just go ahead and talk about it.
I'm trying to have a good time here. Everybody's happy, and you're ruining it.
You're really stressed right now. You're scratching your head. Oh, it's bad.
I was in a good mood today. You know that. I was in a good mood, and now you're doing this.
Just tell me about the thing.
Okay, so we're talking about. A lot of comic book movies have happened, haven't they, Snoop? Some would say that this is what this podcast is about. I would say, yeah, that's probably right.
I mean, we were probably going to do something anyway, but it certainly made things a lot easier for us.
Yeah, so a lot of comic book movies exist. A lot of them suck.
It took we've got some good ones now, surely, but it took a long time and a lot of practice to get there. So we figured we could go down memory lane, just talk about some of the bad old days. I mean, if you're on board.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, Sean, just off the top of your head, what's one of the worst comic book movies you've seen?
One of the worst?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be superhero. It can be just anything related to a comic book.
I'm going to take us back a few decades, actually. Superman 3 is a piece of garbage.
You weren't even alive during that, but you felt how bad that movie was.
It went to my dad and punched me as a sperm.
Punched you right out of the womb so you could talk about it years later on this podcast. Oof.
And that's what I was actually going to mention. I was going to watch Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, which was on Netflix, but they had taken it down. I had never seen it, but I have seen Superman 3, and it is a pile of garbage.
Yeah, so who's the villain in that one?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I've seen the movie. I don't know. Some odd guy who's...
Was Richard Pryor in that one?
Richard Pryor's
He's in that one.
In the movie, and it's basically a vehicle for Richard Pryor. The villain is a Lex Luthor ripoff who basically he wants to control the climate so that he can grow various crops and all this and that. It doesn't make sense.
What an animal! He wants to grow food for the world.
Well, he wants to create hurricanes so he can destroy this crop so that the crop that he invested in makes him money, basically.
Sounds like a pretty solid business plan, though.
It does.
And if you think of it, he's really not even doing anything bad because he's gonna sell the same crops. It's not like he's getting rid of them completely. He's just gonna profit from it.
But millions of people starve because of it.
I know, but that's just a stepping stone, really.
This movie is over 2 hours long, and you feel every single minute of it. And I haven't seen Quest for Peace. I know some people like the fourth one more than the third one.
Yeah, I've heard the third one's just garbage all around.
But I think what the fourth one might have going for it is it's only an hour and a half compared to this one. The budget gets cut a lot compared to the first two. Apparently there was some odd fight with Margot Kidder, who plays Lois Lane.
Yeah, she went crazy.
Yeah, well,
famously.
She there was some dispute with her and the director because she appears in the first 5 minutes of the movie and then literally goes, "I have a trip to go on," and then she leaves and then she appears in the last 5 minutes.
I'm back from my trip.
Yeah, basically.
That's weird. So does he have another love interest?
Yeah, he goes back to Smallville for part of the movie and he kind of reunites with Lana Lang, who's played by Annette O'Toole.
Yeah.
And she's not bad in it, but, this movie's just terrible.
Effects no good?
No.
That's not the one where he has the crazy, the Self-Fan S is number 2, I know.
That's the second one.
Does he have any weird powers in this one?
So, in this movie, he's affected by, kryptonite. The villain tries to make, Richard Pryor tries to make, an off-brand version of kryptonite, but he doesn't have all the ingredients. So it slowly makes him evil, and then Superman, he splits.
Oh, is this red and blue?
No, it's not red and blue.
He's
at like a dump and he splits. Like, so you have the evil version of Superman and the good version, and they fight.
But he loses. The good version loses because the evil one has more strength. He's got more rage.
No, he wins.
Oh, well, that's kind of.
And then the movie continues to go on where like Superman fights the main villain at the end, who like
Richard Pryor.
No, Richard Pryor ends up being kind of good. Like I said, I can't even tell you who the main villain is. He's just like some Lex Luthor ripoff.
There's a lot going on in this film. Well, it's odd enough that you would even remotely make Richard Pryor any kind of a villain.
Well, okay. So the ending involves this odd fight where like there's a computer who like keeps trying to like turn humans into like other computers. Supposedly the original villain was going to be Brainiac for this movie, but that never happened.
Oh, that would have been good.
So you have this kind of horrifying scenes where like humans are grabbed and like machines are strapped onto them, which is not something you would show to a young kid because it's horrifying. They attempt to be funny in this movie. None of it works because it's just like really like you can look up the opening to this movie on YouTube. It's just like all these odd pratfalls. Like there's a mime who gets hit by a runaway hot dog cart, and that leads to some guy like stepping in wet cement and that
nice
kind of
little
stuff.
Domino effect sequence. Yeah. I get it. Yeah, that sounds awful.
And then you have Richard Pryor, who's like Richard Pryor is funny if you ever watch it stand up.
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
But he kind of degrades himself in this because he's like, there are these odd scenes where like he's explaining what Superman's like and he like puts a tablecloth around him. He's jumping around. There's a scene where he like falls off a building, like an actual skyscraper, but he has a pair of skis on at the time. So he just like slides down. That's a part of this movie.
That does sound awful. Got some good trivia here looking it up, though. Apparently, the only reason Richard Pryor did this film is because they offered him $5 million for it.
Well, there you go.
He admitted that,
I would have done it
was
too.
Awful.
Yeah.
$5 million was a decent amount back then.
It's a decent amount now.
I mean, I'd take it.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, this was the first time that Christopher Reeves got top billing for Superman.
Yeah, I think Gene Hackman.
Yeah, he would have gotten, because Christopher Reeves was still pretty unknown at the first film.
And Marlon Brando.
He got top billing, that's right, because that was how they got people to come to it. I don't know, I can't believe, because this movie, even back then, like, it was received pretty poorly, right? So that's weird that they even went through with the fourth one.
I think Christopher Reeve was contracted to do 2 more, which is kind of why he did it.
Yeah. He's a good Superman, though.
Yeah, he's the best Superman.
Yeah. I still think Henry Cavill could be a good Superman. Like, even on par if they gave him something to work with. But we may never know. All right, Sean. Well, part of me wanted to go back and check out the last 2 Superman films, but you've kind of swayed me against it. So that's weird that they wouldn't take... So did they not take that one off Netflix?
They took all... Because Netflix had put, like, all Superman movies on there, even Superman Returns. And apparently they just took them off recently.
Netflix is going through a weird phase right now because I know they're pushing for a lot more original content.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if just in response to that, studios are kind of pulling their contracts, or if they're just deciding, hey, we don't need you anymore. But there's been a lot of stuff just being taken down. Like Fox has taken down all of their stuff recently. But like I think all of Bob's Burgers was taken off except a season, but then they eventually took that off. There are a couple other films that were taken down that Fox owns. It's just, I don't know. I'm interested to see where Netflix goes because, like, they have some good original content, but, I mean, it's just like anything else. The more you make, the more bad stuff you're going to get.
Yep.
Like your favorite show, Marco Polo.
Yep.
I'd love you some Marco Polo. We'll do an episode on that later just for you.
Let's do an episode. Let's do one podcast episode for each episode of Marco Polo.
Oh, that'd be great. We could just be a little side podcast.
No, it'll be part of the main podcast.
What would we call it?
Just The Unnecessary Gentlemen. It'll just be about Marco Polo.
Oh, okay, cool. We change our whole dynamic.
Yeah.
We'll have to change our logo to dress our characters up like Marco Polo.
Keep everything the same. Just talking about Marco Polo.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, until then, I guess we could do a podcast about worst comic book movies.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Let's keep doing that.
Let's just keep doing it with this one, whatever this was.
Throw one at me, Snoop.
All right. You hold that parts of this movie are better in the director's cut, but I maintain it's bad no matter what. Daredevil.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about that.
It's shit.
Yeah, it is.
And it gave birth to a worse spinoff film, but we can mention that in a second. But yeah, this movie is just... What were they doing with this? I don't even want to say there were elements of a good film in it, because there really weren't. Like, I think they tried to nail aspects of his origin down, and like, I don't know. Michael Clark Duncan as the Kingpin wasn't necessarily... He just wasn't used right.
Yeah.
He was just kind of this weird, crazy murderer who just... He's the one who murders his dad in that movie, which makes no sense.
Yeah, timeline-wise, he should be a lot older than he is.
Yeah, and that just kind of... it becomes a basic revenge plot at that point.
It came out at the time when superhero movies were starting to really take off.
Like X-Men.
Yeah, and...
That's how you get your leather suits in there.
Yeah, there are elements, I think, that are decent. People make fun of Ben Affleck. I think Ben Affleck actually made a good Matt Murdock. Not a good Daredevil, but a good Matt Murdock.
That's fair, yeah. Like, a lot of... he's not great in that role, certainly. I think Charlie Cox is a way better fit for this character now. But I don't blame that movie being bad on him. A lot of the acting in it is pretty awful. I don't know. Like, Jennifer Garner as Elektra is not good. Wasn't Colin Farrell Bullseye in this one?
Mm-hmm.
Which was a waste of a great character. I don't like there's just odd, weird scenes. Like the scene where Elektra and Daredevil first meet, they have that playground date fight.
Yeah.
The hell's that about?
There's some truly awful CGI in this. This came out like when the studios thought you could do anything with CGI, but you really couldn't.
Yeah.
Like there's just some awful, like Ben Affleck bouncing off of like sides of walls, and
he dives off like a 30, 40 story skyscraper and is fine.
Yeah.
And that, like I said, this whole thing, I think when it starts out, it kind of gets aspects of the character right to an extent, and the more it goes, it just becomes a generic 2000 superhero film.
Have you seen the director's cut?
Yeah.
Okay. Because
like,
it doesn't make it a great movie, but I think there are elements it does definitely improve. I think it improves... you
can kind of see what they were more going for.
Yeah, it improves Matt Murdock's inner struggle, because they botched it in the movie.
Because they just wanted to be sexy and in leather.
Yeah, well, there's a moment in the theatrical cut where basically Matt's like, I'm the good guy. Like, I'm not the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because... that doesn't make sense if you watch the original movie. They had cut a scene out from the director's cut, so like stuff like that makes more sense.
Yeah, and like, I mean, certain things like the sonar effect, that whole deal, I'm fine with. How we can see. I kind of like this aspect of like in the TV show now. It's just like the world's on fire.
Yeah.
But again, like I don't even think you really see that. Maybe you see it one time for like a glimpse. Here, it's like you constantly like see it, and like I said, the whole thing with the Kingpin murdering his father and him basically just being like, "This is why I do this." Everyone's just moody and out to get revenge in this movie. Like Elektra becomes Elektra because she blames Daredevil for her father's death, which clearly wasn't his fault. It's just, and then he wants to kill the Kingpin because I don't know, and. I remember certain aspects of it. I'm just like, this is fine, but it was very few and far between.
Yeah. Kevin Smith is in this movie.
Oh yeah, best buds. Kevin Smith and Ben Affleck. Yeah. I'm sure he was happy about that. The suit's not, from memory. I mean, the new suit now is clearly better. It makes more sense. Like the leather is bad, but the helmet's pretty spot on at the time. I remember.
I found it kind of neat. The idea that he has to sleep in like a sensory deprivation tank just to get any solitude.
Yeah, because his senses are just so jacked.
Because I've read a lot of Daredevil and I've never seen anything like that. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's a nice little addition. But like I said, I think anything that makes Daredevil interesting as a character was just kind of thrown out the window because they wanted this to be like, okay, this is in a way like what superhero films are doing right now. Let's just do that, but with this character, and it'll be, people love it. And even as a kid, I'm just like, this is no good. But I guess we can go ahead and, I don't have much to say, but the spin-off film with Jennifer Garner, Elektra, that's a thing.
I'll go ahead and say I've never seen it.
I've seen parts of it, or maybe I've seen the whole thing and I just blocked it out of memory. I think the house that is in there, the main house that she kind of trains in and stuff, is the same. It's the main, or it's where Bruce Wayne stays during Batman vs Superman. That's a little fun fact.
You know what we forgot to mention when we were talking about the movie Daredevil?
The Daredevil's in it? Did we?
We forgot. The ridiculous soundtrack by Evanescence. Wake me up inside.
Wake me up inside. That movie is very dated.
Yeah. That was dated like a year after it came out.
Yeah, it was. Like I said, there could have been something way better than that, and we did get something better eventually. We got who owned that originally? Who owned Daredevil when that movie was made?
Fox.
Fox owned it. That's right. And eventually, it just went back to Marvel, and that's how we got the show. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's one of those things that it could be a lot better than it is, and we'll probably never get another movie anytime soon because of it. But it's okay. We got the show.
Yeah, and the show's like that's what I've always wanted. From Daredevil. So I'm good.
Yeah, and Elektra, as far as that goes, it is a really it's on up there with your Catwoman, also another terrible movie. And I think that's just because, especially back then, people didn't know how to make a they just didn't think you could make a comic book movie about a female superhero and have it be a compelling story, because it's just but she's not sexy enough. It's stuff like that. It's just different ideas back then, Sean. You had to make Jennifer Garner just dress in red and maybe hold some knives. And, I mean, she's not an awful actress. She's definitely gotten better, but she would never... she's just not a good fit for that character at all. And even in the Daredevil movie, you just didn't work on any level.
Although you do have a pretty much spot-on recreation of the scene where Bullseye kills Elektra. That's taken directly from the comic, the whole, you good baby, but me, I'm magic.
Yeah.
That's spot on from the comic.
So there's that. It's still really bad, though. I would kind of like to see an Elektra movie again. Actually done right. I know, we've got her in the shows right now, which what's the name of the actress who plays her?
I'm going to tell you off the top of my head.
I'll have to look that up. She's great. I think they kind of, even her costume, works. They didn't take the ridiculous costume she has in the comics and actually made her a character. So, that's
she's a character in the comics, definitely.
Well, no, I mean,
not in the movie.
Yeah, she's definitely a good character in the comics, for sure. But, yeah, I don't know I don't know why they even went with that. Did people like Elektra when Daredevil came out?
Well, I know, by making Elektra, they were able to extend their rights another 7 years for how long they could hold on to it, because that was considered a Daredevil movie, I guess.
Of course they did.
So I don't know if it was just hey, we can crap this out real quick and
maybe sell a toy or two. It's fine.
Hang on to the rights for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Fox does the same thing with Fantastic Four every 7 years. Don't worry, we'll get to that.
Ellie Young?
Yeah.
She's great.
Speaking of Fantastic Four, let's just knock all the Fantastic Four movies out real quick.
I mean, it might hurt. Our friend Kyle's feelings because he likes those movies. But he seems okay with it. But, yeah, they're no good, are they?
No. There's 4 of them.
Yeah. Okay, well, the Roger Corman one, that's the one that was never released, right?
It was never theatrically released.
I've seen some clips of that.
It's rough.
But even just from clips, I know I'm saying this because I haven't seen the movie, but does it look like it might be the best one? Character-wise?
For people who have actually sat down and watched all 4 of these movies, one thing that people a lot of times say is, oddly enough, the Roger Corman one narrowed the characters the best.
Yeah, I think it was just a movie that was ahead of its time, effects-wise. And, the costumes were shit. Yeah. But, yeah, I still haven't watched the 2015 one, but I've heard that is just... I know enough about that movie to more or less get a sense of what the story was. Well, I know there's, the weird time skip, which makes no sense.
Let's start off with the 2005 one, Fantastic Four.
We got some good things out of that in the long run. One thing that mainly comes to mind is we got Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. Yeah. Half of the cast is good. Michael Chiklis, that's the thing, is good.
That's the best thing we have.
Chris Evans.
Really great as a
good.
Human Torch.
The other two, no good.
Yeah, I just feel like they don't really have anything. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Jessica Alba's not a good actress. I don't care what anyone says. She's not a good actress.
Snoop, I've been arguing with you about this for years. She's
Another
a great
reason
actress.
that was going to be the first episode of our podcast, was just arguing about that. We're saving it for the finale. But, yeah, she's just not... I mean, she certainly looks great. Even, she kind of... But even then, she doesn't really look like Sue Storm.
No. This movie has no plot.
They go in this space because they're like, space is really cool. There's stuff out there, and then they come back and they do that thing where they kind of mess stuff up.
The
But
plot
then
of,
they save the day, and everyone's happy about it.
the plot of this movie is the characters get powers and then they do
just
stuff.
They
With
get
their
into
powers.
wacky situations,
Yeah.
don't they? You got Johnny Storm just snowboarding, and then he makes that hot tub, and he's just like, "Hey, you want to join me?" And you're not going to say no to Chris Evans in a hot tub.
I know I want it.
I certainly haven't, but. Yeah, I think... What do they do after they save the thing that they mess up?
That's about it.
Well, I think Dr. Doom does...
They fight him in the streets.
Yeah, but
and
what happens in between that?
they do stuff with their powers.
They're
Snoop.
trying to get rid of their powers. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Except Johnny Storm, who realizes, like, hey, we've got powers. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously the one person that everyone would be if they got superpowers. But yeah, everyone else is just kind of moping around, just waiting for the third act to come along. They use teamwork at the end. That's pretty important. Doctor Doom's obviously the biggest disappointment of that film, which the actor's not the problem with that. I think he could have nailed that role if he, given the chance. He's that guy from Nip Tuck. You remember that show Nip Tuck?
I've seen a few episodes of Nippity Tuckity.
Where he nips some stuff and then he tucks it in because he's like, ooh, probably shouldn't have nipped that.
I nipped it too much.
It's fine. No one will know. But yeah, I think... Do you enjoy the... See, I know a lot of people go back and forth on this. Was the first 2000, the 2000, was it 5?
Yeah.
And then when did the next one come out? 7?
7.
Was Rise of the Silver Surfer worse or better?
It's better, but it's not a good movie.
It's not a good movie. Yeah. But I feel like it has a lot of the same things.
It's better in the sense that...
Like they just do wacky stuff.
No, I can describe the plot to you of Silver Surfer. I can't do that with the first one.
Because the other one didn't have a plot.
Yeah.
Well, what happened in this one? I know there's a cloud.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a retelling of the Galactus trilogy. Silver Surfer comes to Earth, scouting out planets for, Galactus to eat.
He's like, Earth looks pretty tasty.
It's like, I mean, I'd tear into that Earth.
They got some killer waves.
And yeah, so Galactus is coming, and Silver Surfer ends up having a change of heart and works with the Fantastic Four to defeat him. And in between all that, Dr. Doom, steals the powers of Silver Surfer.
Yeah, and you never really, again, he got out of that shipping crate, I guess. Yeah, because that's...
And there's a very good scene where Human Torch is chasing Silver Surfer, around New York. It actually even today, that scene looks pretty good.
I remember it's been a while since I've seen this. I guess a few...
It's been a while for me for a lot of these movies that I've seen them.
I remember I will say one thing. These movies, while I remember them being awful, I do remember them. So I guess that's something. But, no, I remember the Silver Surfer effects, just the design, pretty spot on. Even, I think they would hold up now. Obviously we could do it better, but I think for what it is, it holds up. And I don't know, but the thing is, again, there's just that, we got to put wacky comedy stuff in here with their powers, because, he gets affected by the Silver Surfer and can switch powers with anyone he touches who also has powers, which conveniently for him is only 3 other people in the world. He can touch anyone else, it's fine. But then, he switches with Sue Storm, and then she's like, my clothes are on fire, and now I don't have clothes, and here's my boobs on the sidewalk.
This movie was PG, by the way.
Was it?
Yeah.
You didn't see anything. He saw some... Yeah, I don't
No,
know.
I'm saying it's PG.
We're a different time back then.
It was nudity for the sake of comedy, so...
Is that how they... Okay,
Yeah. Like you said, they didn't show anything, but...
But that's the thing, that was just kind of what superhero films were back then.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with superhero movies kind of, being wacky. That's half the fun of comics, is having your, weird, crossovers and events that are just stories that are just this is odd. But in these movies that, it's just obviously for, visual gags and does nothing and, adds nothing to the story. And that's pretty much, the story takes a back seat.
Yeah.
Plus, I think, like you said, it's a loose adaptation of the Galactus trilogy. But why is Galactus a cloud?
Yeah, so supposedly
He's never been a cloud.
if you look at the scene where Galactus is approaching Earth, you see the outline of what appears to be his helmet out of the cloud. And I think the idea was that maybe he's inside of the cloud. They should have just shown Galactus.
Yeah, just don't make him a cloud.
Like, I think that's, definitely Marvel Studios more than anybody has learned. When you do this stuff, just show it.
Yeah. It showed as best you can. Obviously, if it wouldn't translate well, then maybe not do it. But I feel like, again, that's just a weird spot to draw the line. It's like we've got this chrome man on a surfboard who can fly across galaxies, but we won't make the gigantic man with a helmet who eats planets.
So that was Lawrence Fishburne who was doing Silver Surfer.
Yeah, he's really good. Like I said, the Silver Surfer is the best part of that movie.
This also shuts off the trend of having like a villain who is a cloud within a lot of superhero movies. There's been a few for some reason.
You want to talk about another one where a villain's a cloud?
Green Lantern.
We can talk about Green Lantern.
Let's do it.
There's a cloud in there.
There's a cloud, Parallax.
And there's a really odd man who gets even more odd and more gross as the movie goes along.
Hector Hammond.
Yeah. He's got like a big bulbous head at the end, I remember. You know what makes me mad about this movie? The one thing that shouldn't make me mad in a Green Lantern movie, the constructs. They're all awful.
They don't look good.
They don't look good.
The CGI
they make no
this
sense.
Does not look good. Like, even when they go to Oa...
which is definitely where all the budget went in.
Yeah. It doesn't look good. Like, it looks very off-putting.
Yeah, like, I think they went all in on it. I think they definitely tried their best. But there is just something kind of weird. And it's weird because, later on we get Asgard and Thor, and that looks really good. But I feel like they put less into that. And maybe that's the issue. Maybe because a lot of Green Lantern, if not all, is CGI. Even the suit.
All the suit,
which is just...
Which it didn't need to be.
No, even, that's Ryan Reynolds, when he was making Deadpool, he's just like, I will not wear a CGI suit.
Yeah.
And, good. Because, again, if you can make it, that's what I feel like we were kind of getting out of, we were on the back end of the whole everything needs to be CGI phase with Green Lantern. Now we've kind of gotten back to this point where it's like, hey, if you can make this, go for it. Because it looks way better and it'll hold up years later. But yeah, everything in that movie, I wouldn't say everything in that movie is awful. I remember Mark Strong being a really good Sinestro, but it just...
Also, all the characters, like the CGI characters, look good.
Kilowog was great. Michael Clark Duncan again.
Yeah.
Which that was one of the movies he did, right before he kind of passed away a year or two later. But he was really good as Kilowog. Did we see a lot of the Guardians in that? I don't remember them.
We see them, but they look bad.
Yeah, maybe that's why. But yeah, and of course you have the end credit scene at the end where Sinestro puts on the ring. Again, the whole he wanted, they kind of wanted to work up to that because Parallax was coming, and he's just like, hey, we need to use this power instead. But so Green Lantern stops Parallax, but he just puts on the ring anyway.
Yeah,
it's but you don't need you only wanted the ring so you could stop Parallax. He stopped. What are you doing? And I mean, they were really kidding themselves when they threw that scene in there because it's you guys think you're gonna get a sequel. That's cute.
This was supposed to be DC's Iron Man. It was supposed to kickstart a universe.
Then we had to wait 5 years for their next attempt.
Yep.
They're slogging through this one, it seems. They're going to keep it going. But I feel like Ryan Reynolds could have been a good Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
I hope, though, because we have no idea if we're going to get a Green Lantern in Justice League. It doesn't look like it. I doubt that we are because it's not like them to hide stuff from us, as we've known in their prior DC projects. But if they did hide whoever is Green Lantern and have him show up in Justice League, that would be amazing. But I don't think I wanted to be Hal Jordan in this. I think I wanted to be... A lot of people want Jon Stewart. I'm fine with that, as long as they get someone good. I wouldn't mind seeing Kyle Rayner in there, though. It's one of my more favorite lanterns.
Get Chippin, the scroll.
Oh, Chip is so good. Get Mogo. You don't need anyone. He can do anything he wants. He's a planet. Why would you need the Justice League? You know they'll probably get, though.
Your favorite?
Fucking I hate Guy Gardner so much. If they get Guy Gardner, I'm out.
Guy Gardner has, his character has grown.
I know he's grown. Like, I've read some stuff recently. I'm just like, yeah, he's not awful, but he's still Guy Gardner. I think one of my favorite moments in comics is where Batman punches him. It's great. He did the thing we all wanted to do. But,
you know what we should talk about now? The 2 really bad X-Men movies. You know which 2 I'm talking about.
I think I gotta remember how many there are at this point. There's the one where Vinny Jones wears the muscle suit.
Yes.
That one's pretty bad. And then there's the one where Wolverine has great hair, but he wears a leather jacket, and I think Taylor Kitsch is in there.
He pops up. That's back when he was in movies. X-Men The Last Stand and X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Let's talk about The Last Stand. Yeah. That's a real disappointment, because the first 2, even today, I enjoy.
Well, right off the bat, the problem is...
Brett Ratner,
but also it takes 2 iconic X-Men storylines, The Cure and the, Phoenix Saga, and crams them into one movie.
Yeah.
Each of those should have been their own movie.
The Phoenix Saga can arguably be like 2 movies if they really wanted to. So yeah, just to kind of have it. And the thing is, The Cure was the main storyline. The Phoenix Saga is just kind of like it's a big part, but that wasn't. That was kind of like, hey, let's deal with the Cure stuff first, and then we should probably take care of Jean Grey, who's exploding a lot of people. And it's just odd, like these characters that you've grown up, or not grown up, but watched the first 2 movies with, a lot of them get taken out just really suddenly. Mm-hmm. James Marsden comes to mind. I think he's in the movie for... Someone totaled that. He's in the movie for like 3 minutes at most.
Bryan Singer stole him for Superman Returns.
That's right. He is in there, yeah. But didn't... Fox and him kind of had a falling out anyway, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
Which he's in later in Days of Future Past for a scene or whatever. But yeah, and that's the thing. Cyclops was I really remember enjoying Cyclops in the comics back when I read them, like when those movies were coming out. But they never really got that character right. And
he's always just kind of like a stoic douchebag in these movies.
He's so moody.
Like, I hear people all the time say that they don't like Cyclops. Like, well, never really been introduced to a good version of the character.
Yeah, I think it's just people don't like movie Cyclops, which is valid. And also, too, this was the 3rd movie in. They knew who was selling tickets, and that's the lovely Hugh Jackman. And so I think, obviously movies back then, we had to have a romantic subplot of some sort. And they're like, well, no one really responsible to Cyclops. Let's just get rid of him and finally make Wolverine and Jean Grey, have their thing. And because that in the Dark Phoenix saga, the comics, it's Cyclops who has to, or I don't know if he kills her, but he's kind of the one that has to deal with her death after. Yeah. So they just move that over to Wolverine, and they teased a lot of stuff that we've been wanting to see. The Danger Room's in there for like a second, and then they're like, well, that's enough of that. I think the Sentinels are in there as well.
You see the fastball special in there.
Yeah, and again, it's all that's all in the Danger Room, so it didn't actually happen.
You know what is good about this movie? Kelsey Grammer is the Beast.
Oh, it's so good.
That's like spot on casting there.
That's great. Because originally it wasn't even Kelsey Grammer. They brought him in later. I think the Beast, Hank McCoy, is in X-Men 2, but it's a different guy.
Yeah, you see him on a television set in the background.
Yeah, he's amazing. The rest of the mutants that were in there, because there's a lot of mutants, it's kind of like this one last big war with Magneto. But all the mutants are they're nothing. They all have the same powers. A lot of them, it's like have super speed or some kind of teleporting power.
Yeah, well, there's that end fight where, Magneto sends his pawns, as he calls them, which...
Let the pawns go first.
I don't think Magneto would do that. He's all about protecting mutants. But anyway, they all have the same powers. They're all just, teleporting across.
And they're getting... Yeah, and it's just, they're outnumbering like, you know, the mutants, but at never any point do I really feel like all these guys are a match for the X-Men, because clearly they're not. And the Cure storyline was just kind of wasted. Angel was wasted.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I thought that was I think he's in the opening sequence. Like, I think it's the first thing you've seen is when he's shaving off his wings.
I think it was, he's one of the original 5 X-Men.
Yeah.
We have to have him in this trilogy some point.
And here he is. Juggernaut was worthless.
Ian McKellen continues to be good in this. You know, the whole, they say they have a cure, but I say we are the cure.
Yeah.
That's the greatest Ian McKellen impression that anybody's ever done.
Don't look it up. But no, yeah, he's got some good moments in there. You kind of get more of their... I love any scene in the early X-Men films with Magneto and Charles. Mm-hmm. They have just... Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, you know, they're good buds, and they just have great chemistry on screen. And that's another thing when Professor X gets killed by being exploded. Like, it's just kind of like...
Well, it's not...
It's in the middle of the movie, which is...
Like, the scene where he gets killed is probably mishandled. I do like... Because, like, immediately after...
Don't explode him.
Well, immediately after, you have Magneto, who's, you know, he just had his enemy killed, but at the same time...
It's his best friend.
Yeah, and, like, he kind of does affect him, you see. But, yeah, the special effects in this movie are good. Like, the bridge moving scenes, really great.
Yeah, they do it with miniatures, I believe, and then just kind of CGI'd the stuff they needed to. Yeah, that's a really good scene. And parts of the last battle are okay, but it's definitely... I think the battle in the house, like, or outside the house, where Storm does that twirl and hits the shit out of someone, that's a better fight scene than what we got in the third act. Mm-hmm. But that's... I would like to see a different version of that. But, you know, we reset it once, and then we messed up the continuity again, so... I don't know.
Just remembering, you have Mystique just gets thrown to the side in this.
Oh, yeah, her character loses her powers. And
her character had been built up, and then, like, they just kind of throw her to the side.
And then she's just like hell hath no fury, like a woman's scorn. And you know what I just remembered that dates this movie really bad? They used the Juggernaut meme from back in the day.
It wasn't funny back then. It's not funny now.
I remember, I think the first time we ever, because this movie came out before we met, and I remember when we first brought this up to each other, and you know, we have a few friends who love that video, and we're so excited to see that. But when I brought it up with you, you just let out the worst sigh I've ever heard. And looking back on it, yeah, that was no good. When are we gonna get Juggernaut again? They need to do that right.
What movie? In Days of Future Past, originally in the script, Quicksilver was Juggernaut.
He's gonna be Juggernaut, yeah. I'm fine with the Quicksilver scene. But I'd like to see him again.
X-Men Origins.
It's worse.
Yeah.
It's somehow it's worse.
Yeah.
And this was supposed to kick off the next X-Men franchise, which was just going to be origin films.
Like we were supposed to get a Magneto one.
And this, I remember, this is when the continuity just really just took a nosedive, because it's Wolverine, you know, it starts out in the beginning, he's James Hallett, that's how we found out his name, and then it grows up through the wars. But then the main story is him, like, you know, trying to figure out who's hunting down these mutants, and you just see a bunch of mutants that you've either already seen or clearly couldn't be that age and still work into the trilogy we had. Cyclops is in there in the, I think it's like the 70s or 80s whenever that part was set.
In the 80s, I think. No.
It's older than that.
This movie takes place in 1979 because the 3 Mile Island explosion happens in this.
But even then, his age is just off.
Yeah. I think he's 14 in the movie.
At best. Just an angsty teen.
It would be a bit tight, I guess.
Yeah. Not as tight as your news hole, but certainly, but...
Well, definitely. Well, I mean, you know, X-Men came out in 2000, so... It roughly lines up.
Yeah, but even then, there's just so much stuff in this movie that just doesn't work.
Oh, no, I struggle to think of good stuff in this movie, and I think the opening sequence where you see, like, him and his brother running
through the war, that's pretty
That's about
good.
it.
That's I think that was one of the better things they did, because we got, you know, an actual actor to play Sabretooth instead of a wrestler. Lee Schreiber was great in that role, and I think that was, you know, they had a chance. I would have liked just to really focus on their relationship throughout that movie, because he's in there, you know, they fight back and forth throughout the whole movie, but I don't know. It's just there was a missed opportunity there. The whole thing with the Silver Fox was just weird. How, did she really love him? Or was she just doing her job? Why is her power she can only hypnotize people she's touching? That just seems inconvenient.
Why do his claws look better in the first X-Men movie than they do in this one?
I thought they looked better in this one. I thought they were shiny. No, you're right. They look better, but they wanted them to look better in this movie, so they make them all shiny and they're CGI.
Yeah.
They're all completely CGI because there's a lot of scenes that...
It's a rhetorical question, Snoop.
When you asked, I answered. Calm down. But yeah, it's just... His hair's too poofy. They didn't know if they wanted to keep doing comic book hair.
There's a lot of odd scenes. Like, you have the obligatory scene for like the people who give him advice. Like, you have an old couple who give him advice who get killed. But
which was done way better in Logan.
Yeah, but which is odd because he's older than those people, so like he should be wiser than them.
Yeah, they're giving him advice, and then I think he gives him a leather jacket, but he steals the motorcycle.
Yeah,
and there are a lot of mutants that were kind of sent, either on his team in the past or sent to get him. Like, you weren't really sure if... What was it, Agent X? Was that the guy who was trying to kill him? He's the guy the Asian who's really good with guns. Mm-hmm. It's like, is this guy a mutant? Or is he just a really good sharpshooter? And then, of course, we get the worst thing as far as characters go, and that's Deadpool.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know anything about the character of Deadpool, so... I didn't know that's what that was. I just which, back thinking about it, I think at the time I was like, oh, that's not bad. What was that thing about? And then I started, reading up a bit, and I'm like, oh, well, that wasn't that. And just the whole fight at the end is just like, why did they climb up there on that silo? Just like.
Oh, so they botch? They completely botch, how Wolverine loses his memories.
Yeah, because it gets shot with an adamantium.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense.
It would kill him because if it can.
Oh, well, okay. I understand the logic that only adamantium can pierce adamantium.
But again, his brain's not made out of adamantium, so it would just go into his brain and kill him instantly.
Well, I can assume his brain would heal his healing powers, but the idea that it'll get rid of his memories. How do you know that, first of all?
Yeah, they just say that.
Second of all, if it does that, it shouldn't just get rid of his memories. He should be a drooling infant. Like, everything should be gone.
Lobotomize him?
Yeah, that's what would happen.
Well, what was he gonna do? Like, I guess was he gonna just, take it... Like, he's like, oh, it'll take away his memories, and then I can raise him to be the Weapon X I wanted him to be.
And... You see, I like the glimpses we get in, X-Men 2 better, of just, you kind of get the idea of what happened to him.
Well, that's how it is. That's how it's been in the comics as well. It's now we all know his past, and his real name's James Howlett. But before, when you didn't know any of that stuff, I think at one point you found out that his memories that he thought he had were
some of them were fake.
But yeah, and there's been instances where they were implanted in there.
Yeah.
Or I think one which was really cool is that he went through such traumatic events that was his healing factor that it healed his mind because he was so broken. So yeah, to keep it just kind of like that, because a lot of this stuff, it's one of those things where it's never going to live up to what you think it is, but to do it this way is just it makes no sense. And then Cyclops, another thing continuity-wise is this is supposed to tie into that bigger trilogy. So Cyclops saw Wolverine. Wolverine helped get all those kids out. How would he not know who Wolverine is?
He had a blindfold over his eyes the whole time, Snoop. You don't remember that?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did.
But were there other people who were like, yeah, this guy with claws saved us? Because surely he would ask questions.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, no, that's how they explain it.
That's stupid.
After he gets his powers, he puts a blindfold around his eyes, and he has it on the whole time.
That plot line relies on people like me forgetting, or people just not bringing it up, or other people not seeing how dumb that really is. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And also, Professor X can walk still.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, "Oh no, you don't get it. That's just him, projecting his mind self." But the ship's right. Why wouldn't he?
And again, with
it's just come out of the ship in the wheelchair.
You see in X-Men: The Last Stand, you get a younger version of Professor X and Magneto at the beginning of the movie. Yeah. The CGI for younger Professor X looks better in the movie that came before this one.
Yeah, the CGI's not good. And plus, you got like weird scenes with like the Blob,
Now,
which he's the Blob because he calls him that on accident, or he thinks he calls him that, and that's how he got his name.
plus, Will.i.am is in this movie.
Yeah, well, I liked his powers, but who was he?
Kestrel.
Yeah, that's right. He gets his spine ripped out.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And by that, I mean I'm glad that guy's gone. And then Gambit's no good.
No.
You're Taylor Kitsch again, which I think Channing Tatum he was supposed to be Gambit in X3, but then they ended up not using Gambit, so he was supposed to come back for this movie. But then they were like, no, we'll just cast future Hollywood star Taylor Kitsch. And, well, who has the last laugh now? Channing Tatum, who's still not doing that Gambit movie we're waiting for, but, you know, he's doing other stuff. Yeah, I don't know. What other comic book movies we got to talk about?
We need to talk about Batman Forever, Batman and Robin.
Well,
you know what? No, I'm also going to throw in Batman Returns. That's not a good movie, despite what some people say.
It's more Tim Burton-y than it should be.
It's not even a Batman movie.
Well, they just like, arguably Batman at 89 isn't a Batman movie in its core, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Because I watched that recently, and it's just like this is fun, but this isn't anywhere close to comic book Batman, really. Like, to me anyway. Like, it does one thing that I don't know why they would, but I guess it's just that's how movies were made back then. Is it gives the Joker a definitive origin story?
Mm-hmm. He was the one that shot his
shot his parents. Yeah. Again, it's just like it just becomes a revenge thing, and then Batman takes all that anger and just brings it over to Batman Returns and kills a lot of people. And also Danny DeVito's the Penguin.
Yeah.
Is it Christopher Walken in there too? There's a lot of creepy people in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even have to put makeup on.
But, yeah.
You like Catwoman, though? Not the costume, obviously, but do you like Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman?
She's fine.
She's, like, it's still, that was back in when things were still kind of, like, Superman campy almost.
Yeah.
And so, and that's all, like, it's fun to see that version of Catwoman every now and again, meowing about. But, I don't know. It's definitely better than Batman Forever.
I don't know, I can...
Right?
Technically, yes. On a technical level, it's a better movie. I think I can sit through Batman Forever.
There's not as much Technicolor.
Yeah, I think I can...
I think you could sit through Batman Returns, especially knowing that... I mean, they're all the same Batman, technically. They're different actors, but it's all the same character, Bruce Wayne. But I think it's easier to go from Batman 89 and after watching that kind of ease into Batman Returns and be fine with it. Because, the Penguin's just, the design's odd. But I think, like...
Well, there's a lot of things about that movie, like... I can't suspend disbelief that people would take that character seriously.
Everything about it, like...
Well, because they want to make him mayor. And, like, they all just kind of go with it.
They're like, look at him, he's a freak. Give him an office.
Like, there's a scene where he, like, they're all surrounding him, and he bites a person's nose off.
Yeah.
And nobody reacts, like, in shock to it. Well, they're just like, okay, yeah, this guy's mayor.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, he's clearly unstable.
Yeah.
And...
Plus, he was raised by actual penguins.
Yeah, because his parents abandoned him for being a freak of nature. That's a fun message. But... he has the giant penguins at one point as well. That's just... Like I said, this is a movie where it's just like, Tim Burton, you made us a lot of money on Batman 89.
Do what you want with this one.
Just have more money and do what you want. And he's like, okay. Just rubbing those hands together. He's like, I'll see what I can do.
Just rubbing those flipper-shaped hands together.
I mean, his Gotham's, it's still Gotham, and it's just like, it is more dark, but he gave us some good things. Like, that movie led to better things. Obviously, a big one is the 90s animated series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we got the theme song directly from those movies into the 90s animated series, which is great. But yeah, I'd still watch this over. Batman Forever is just nonsense to me. It's just like, they bring in Robin for that one, and it's like
the 30-year-old Robin.
He adopts the 25-year, I guess he's 25 or 30, Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah.
And it's just, Two-Face murdered his parents, yeah? See, that's the thing. I don't like this. I don't like this whole thing. It's just like, we have to have the villains of this movie be directly connected to the tragedy that, led these characters to become superheroes. I don't, like, I never needed that. And Two-Face is awful.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones, you're better than that. What are you doing? Plus, of course, we know that Billy D. Williams was supposed to be Two-Face because he's Harvey Dent in the first 2 movies.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, I don't know. I feel like, why didn't they do that? Was there just issues, like, script-wise or contract-wise?
Sure. I know the reason Tommy Lee Jones kind of took the role, I think he did it for his grandchildren, but also Jack Nicholson spoke to him, and he was like, yeah, I had a lot of fun doing Batman 89. Like, I really got to go play over the top and all this. And
it didn't have anything to do with the fact that I made a lot of money.
He's still making money off of that.
I know he is.
But, and Tommy Lee Jones was like, okay, I'll have fun with this. And he probably went the wrong way. Like, Harvey Dent's not supposed to be, like, really over the top.
He just kind of, I guess, just did what Jack Nicholson did for the Joker. And, even the design shit. Like, it looks terrible. And... like, you know, the suit's cut down the middle, and in comics that kind of works, but in film it's no good. Plus, he loses at the end because he loses his coin and all those other coins.
Yeah, Batman murdered him.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Even though he told Robin the whole movie not to murder him.
Yeah, this
out of revenge.
This version of Batman is very much a murderer.
Yeah, you like Val Kilmer as Batman though? Is he okay? I think he's okay as Bruce Wayne at least.
Yeah,
he's still not my favorite. I love Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne. That perm alone.
With the turtleneck and everything.
That turtleneck is so good.
Also in this movie, you have Jim Carrey being 90s Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
I maintain that he could have been a decent Riddler.
Okay.
See, I would like to see not him be that same Riddler, but I'd like to see them do the Riddler again and have him come in now. Because that man can act. We've seen it.
Yeah.
And I think...
Eternal... Something.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is great. The Truman Show, excellent. Yeah. He's the only good part in Kick-Ass 2.
That he later renounced.
Yeah, that he really, because he said there's too, but still, best part.
This very violent movie I willingly made was too violent. I will not support,
he's odd.
I hate that kind of crap.
I do too. But again, like, he's a great actor. And I think I'd love to see an older Jim Carrey come back and play like kind of like this just weird guy who's just obsessed with riddles. But yeah, what he did in that movie is just the TV thing. Just does he hate Bruce Wayne too? In that movie, doesn't everybody like? Isn't that why everyone becomes a villain? Is because they hate Bruce Wayne in some or they were. I think he hates Bruce Wayne for some reason. I don't know. Is it worse? Batman and Robin though, that's worse, right?
You know, a lot of people like Batman and Robin.
I think they like to make fun of Batman and Robin.
There's this legitimate cult following of Batman and Robin. Like, a lot of people really love the campiness of it. It's not a good movie, but...
No, and I think everyone who was a part of that movie has at some point said, like, yeah, it's no good.
Oh, yeah, George Clooney, as jokingly always says, if somebody comes up to me on the street and says they paid money to see it, he'll give them a refund.
Yeah, he'll give them their money, a price of admission at that time or something. Yeah. So many good things Batman needed, though, in that movie. He got his Bat credit card. He never leaves home without it. Of course, the Bat nipples, so we know where his nipples are. And then Chris O'Donnell's back for that one.
Yeah.
And I think, isn't the opening scenes where they go up against Mr. Freeze and they're ice skating, right? And that's just where it starts off, like, right out the bat. You know what you're getting into. Arnold's
Nothing but ice puns.
Yeah, I still meet you, Batman.
A lot of people will probably disagree with this, but I think Uma Thurman is actually pretty good in this.
I was gonna say that she's a great because you know why
she knows what she's making.
She knows exactly what they're making.
Right into it.
Yeah, she gets as just over the top as possible. And then Batgirl's been in this one, yeah.
Yeah, she's in this one. Alicia Silverstone.
Alicia Silverstone is Batgirl,
which she just becomes Batgirl. It doesn't make any sense because Alfred leaves some kind of message to her on the computer.
He's like, hey, I guess she's dating Dick at that point.
Yeah.
And that's how but even then he's just like, Alfred probably shouldn't have the authority to get rid of those suits whenever he wants.
She's Alfred's niece in this version.
Oh yeah, it's been so long since I've seen it. See, again, I don't like why does everyone have to be related to something? I mean, obviously, like, you know, if Jim Gordon's in there, have that part, but yeah, it's no good.
Also, a fun piece of trivia. Alfred is through all four of the movies, Alfred's the only
one that carried over.
Yeah.
He's pretty good Alfred. He's not the best Alfred, but I think for, you know, what that character was back then, It's pretty good. They're like, we just need a prim and proper old guy who's really nice. And I think they kind of set Robin up to be Nightwing, but they don't actually go through with it. Because he's just like, I hate you, Batman. You're not my real adopted dad. He's like, when I'm old enough, I'm going to move out. And Batman's like, you're 34.
Why haven't you moved out yet?
Why did I adopt you?
I did not understand the papers I was signing.
I guess they just didn't want to. I don't know what they were thinking. Oh, Chris O'Donnell. It's not completely it's mostly your fault, but you shouldn't have taken that role. Yeah, I don't know, man.
You know what I think is good?
That's what?
I think the color scheme of this movie is good.
They toned down the weird color of the Forever one and kind of did a mix. It's fine. Like, the suits themselves aren't bad. It's just he's got those nipples, and that's just kind of hard to look past. But it's like a weird blue, like metallic material. Yeah. It's interesting. George Clooney could have been an okay Batman. I mean, he's kind of the it guy at the time. Now he wouldn't be a good Batman, but I don't know. I'm glad he hates it as much as we do, though. It gives me a little respect for him. That was the reason why we didn't have Batman movies for so long.
Yeah. They killed the franchise.
Yeah, it was like 95 to 2005. Nolan brought it back. Those are good movies, though. We can't talk about those. Maybe on a different episode where we talk about best comic book movies. But, yeah, I don't... One I can think of that I'd like to talk about briefly, but we'll probably maybe do an episode on the whole thing, is the last Spider-Man Raimi movie.
Yeah, I was going to say we need to talk about the bad Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, which there's been a few. Yeah. It's about half and half at this point. Well, even then, the first one doesn't age well is the thing.
No.
But at the time, it was good. Like, I remember, like, that was one of the best superhero movies we could have gotten.
Well, then you have, like, the first Amazing Spider-Man, which I consider to be the very definition of average.
You do. You maintain that.
Yeah.
You just don't like how he's better at skateboarding than you, Sean. That's all it is. You're like, I can't land that sick ollie in a warehouse like he can.
Snoop, why are you telling the people about my sadness, my sick obsession I have here? Okay, I spend my nights in warehouses practicing my skateboard.
I have to edit out so many hours of this podcast because he takes breaks to go practice his ollie skills. One day you'll get there, Sean. But okay, so my question is, what is the worst Spider-Man film we've had?
The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's worse than Spider-Man 3.
It is, isn't it? And which is odd because it makes a lot, if not more, of the same mistakes from the third movie. Yeah. You think they would have learned by now?
There are elements of Spider-Man 3 that are good. There's not really anything good about Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2 is just, they didn't know what they wanted.
Yeah.
They were trying to set up Sinister Six. They were trying to set up Venom. They wanted 2 more Spider-Man films. They wanted us to care about his parents being gone. That's the first scene of the movie, is that airplane scene. Richard Parker's a lot more agile than I thought he'd be. And just, like, the thing is, this trailer alone shows you how much of this movie didn't make the final cut. Like, I think a majority of those trailers you'd never even see in the theater.
That's probably the worst example of just putting out too much material before the movie comes out. There was like 40 minutes of footage shown before the actual movie came out. Like,
because they had so much.
Yeah, well, like if you took all the trailers and all the TV spots and all the international trailers and all this and that,
yeah,
it was like 40 minutes.
Yeah, and that's, I think, it's changed back and forth, but I think at one point there was rumored to be like 6 hours of footage shot, and then they had the first cut down to 4 hours. And then I think it just kind of kept going down until I think it was like around 2:15 or 2:20 the final thing. But yeah, there's a Mary Jane subplot that was cut out completely. They even filmed a bit of with Shailene Woodley as Mary Jane.
Yep.
A lot of the Harry and Peter Parker stuff that is missing because it's just like they can't show us that they've been best friends.
Isn't that the story of the day or something like that?
Yeah, well, that's like when they're spying on him and he knows about it. That never comes up. Yeah. But even just like their friendship is just like, he finds out Harry Osborn's back, and he's like, oh, I have to go see my best friend, Harry Osborn.
There's a very odd scene where they're, like, skipping stones, and there's a lot of, like, exposition where they're just talking about their friendship.
Yeah, like, you remember that's how we did this?
Yeah.
Like, was that before or after I had to go to a weird boarding school for conveniently 5 or 6 years while you were becoming Spider-Man? You know what is great about this film?
What?
The Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker chemistry.
Yeah.
A lot of credit goes to the actors because, you know...
I think both of them are better than the material, definitely.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, like, you know, they dated... We know it led to a nice on- and off-screen romance, which is, you know, it's over now, but... They, like I said, they have great chemistry in both those movies. Those are, like... The first movie kind of has a better... It has some story there, for sure, that... some coherent story. The second one just goes off the rails with all this other stuff. Yet the Rhino was a waste.
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti's such a good actor. What are you doing?
Walking around with your pants down.
Like, why are you making him do that? It's ridiculous. Electro was supposed to be the main villain, and...
It was awful.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx is a better actor than that. And why does he look like that?
What were they even going for there?
They did the ultimate version because they were just like, the guy wearing yellow and green spandex with a weird lightning bolt sun symbol on his head is ridiculous, which, that's fine. But the ultimate version is the design they used, but even the design is weird. How does he get that suit?
Well,
I don't even think he gets his powers from eels.
He has this odd, like, vendetta against Spider-Man that doesn't even make sense.
And it developed very quickly.
Yeah.
Because,
he didn't remember his name or something like that?
He didn't. No, he forgot his name because there's just one scene where it's Spider-Man. He's clearly saving people on the daily, and he saves him one time.
And he's nice to him when he saves him.
Yeah, because that's Spider-Man. He's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. It's just like, and we're supposed to get like this guy's unstable because no one is friends with him or remembers who he is.
But the way Jamie Foxx acts like it, nobody acts like that in real life. Like,
well, that's the thing. Not even just him acting like that in real life. No one would treat someone like that in real life. Like, literally, his coworkers are just like, "Hey, you have to go do this dangerous thing because I don't want to do it." He's like, "But it's my birthday, man." And he's like, even if it's not his birthday, obviously it's his birthday, so you shouldn't make him do it anyway. But even if it's not his birthday, don't leave him alone to dangle precariously over a tank of eels by himself to fix a unplugged like socket. It makes no sense. Like, I just don't get it. And when he changes into Electro, he's not really a villain. Like, he's a spoiled child who has it against Spider-Man. And then all I remember from that fight scene is there's dubstep in the movie, and they acknowledge it in the movie. I think he says, like, "I hate this song," and how he's like, somehow Electro's powers let him control and become all electricity, and also play dubstep through a weird electrical grid.
I think the scene where Gwen Stacy died was actually pretty well done.
That's straight out of the like that's might be better than the comics. Like, that's a really great scene, and pretty much like it ends quickly after that. It goes back to what the rest of the movie was, where he's standing at the grave, and it's obvious that like he hasn't been Spider-Man for a while, but you really don't get a sense of how long he hasn't been Spider-Man. I think in the comics he stops being Spider-Man for like 6 or 7 months.
Speaking of graves, I think Spider-Man 2 is the only Spider-Man movie where the movie doesn't end with Peter Parker at a grave, or close to the ending of the movie. That's
an issue with most these Spider-Man films, is they kind of want to always go this dark route of like, because obviously out of all superheroes, Peter Parker arguably has the most terrible things happen to him. He loses his uncle, he loses his girlfriend. You can't tell anyone he's Spider-Man. Aunt May's constantly needing to go to the hospital. Who knows how big their bills are? But
that woman's always going to the hospital.
Always going to the hospital. But yeah, but that's not all Spider-Man is. He's
also a very happy-go-lucky character.
He also likes to joke around, likes to just hang out with kids like Jorge, which they fix their wind silos and then get them in inexplicable danger at the end of the movie. Also, one more thing about that film when we go into Spider-Man 3, and that'll probably be it, because I can't think of any more. Maybe you can, but at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, the Rhino's, causing havoc. At one point, he taunts the cops and opens that hood.
They could have shot him.
Just shoot him. What do you do? Like, and then they're like, "We don't know what to do." And then you have the 7 or 8-year-old kid
just walking out there. Nobody's jumping to grab him or anything.
Yeah, she's like, well, he walks under there, and his mom's just like, "Jorge, why is this white kid's name Jorge?" It makes no sense. that movie could have, like, I feel like there's elements of something that could have been good in there. The costume's on point. Yeah, he's a good Spider-Man, not a great Peter Parker, but I don't know. We get Tom Holland now, though. He's doing pretty good. We'll see how Homecoming is. I mean, we basically already have seen it. The trailer gave away everything, but sure. You want to talk about Spider-Man 3?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
All right, talk about that. Waste of Venom.
Too much crammed into it. It's the main problem with the movie.
I remember, because, you know, Raimi eventually dropped Spider-Man 4, but he didn't even really want to finish this one.
Well, he was forced to put Venom in it.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, he was more or less done with it before the third one was even finished because of studios, you know, just bogging him down, just holding him down, Sean. And I don't know why he didn't want to do Venom. Maybe he just didn't think it was time, or maybe he just didn't like the character.
Yeah, he didn't like the character.
He doesn't like the character?
He said.
Okay.
And Topher Grace was awful as Eddie Brock.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think what they were going for in the movie is, in the comics, it's like this huge dude.
Yeah.
I think what they wanted is kind of like, because Venom's the polar opposite of Spider-Man, but has the same powers and everything. I think they just wanted someone who's the opposite of Tobey Maguire. They're like, where's another skinny, nerdy-looking guy who could be an evil Spider-Man? And like, Topher Grace is pretty mean sometimes. He doesn't get along with that 70s show co-stars. But yeah, he's not good. And they, like you said, everything's crammed in there. They should have just done Sandman.
Yeah. And Thomas Hayden Church is good as Sandman.
The Sandman scene where he becomes him is actually really great. Like when he, you think he's dead, but then the sand starts to reform and they play that music in the background.
Yeah.
Obviously just like using it to exploit some emotions out of me, but it worked. I can tell. Well, one thing I didn't like the Sandman stuff though is I didn't like how, again, I just don't like everything being related to everything, that he ended up being part of the Uncle Ben thing.
They shouldn't have done that.
No, just have him be a, you know, because before you kind of felt for him. It's like, oh, he's trying to, you know, he's guy on hard times. He just wants to take care of his daughter who's sick. So he robs. And, you know, I didn't need that. I didn't need, because it's basically just, it's Peter Parker kind of going through this where he's like, oh, I have to get revenge for Uncle Ben now. And it's eventually him coming to terms with that. Like, he doesn't have to be that. He doesn't have to take revenge. Like, he has the choice. And just like, what was Sandman's real name? Clint Marco?
Yeah.
Yeah, Clint Marco had
Flint Marco.
Flint Marco, I'm sorry, yeah. Flint Marco had his choice. And, again, you could have just done that without him, like, having to, like I'm going to kill you because you knew the guy that I murdered who killed my uncle. Like, you murdered that one guy in the first film. Like, you're you messed up too. It's fine. But, I don't know. Plus, Aunt May, like, talks about a ring for a really long time.
Yeah.
And Mary Jane and
Kirsten Dunst, she
phoned that one in. She was just like, I'm done with this. And I think even kind of James Franco.
It's another movie where Mary Jane gets kidnapped at the end.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she?
All three of them are like that.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I'd like to see Venom again, though. That was like the biggest waste for me was Venom. Well, Sean, you got any more films, or are we done with this segment?
Yeah, I guess we don't need to talk about Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad. We've talked about them before.
we've been talking about doing commentaries later down the road. I think we'll pick some good. Look, we'll pick some good movies that we want to actually rewatch, and commentate on. That'll be our reward. And then after that, we'll watch movies we don't like but feel the need to talk about, like Batman vs. Superman and Suicide Squad. I mean, you'll have to buy all those movies, obviously. You'll have to set them up and start the recording equipment. But I will gladly make the sacrifice to watch those movies with you and eat your food.
Wow, you're such a hero. How do you feel about Superman Returns?
It's really boring.
There you go. Summed it up.
Brandon Routh. We've talked about this before, I think. Brandon Routh, not his fault.
No.
I think they cast him because he looks like Christopher Reeves. But he's not a bad actor.
It makes him
he just wants to be a Christopher Reeve movie.
Yeah, it's a literal continuation of Superman 2.
Yeah. You call like Bryan Singer's love letter to the original stuff, and it just makes no sense. It's really long. The whole thing with the kid is boring. Like, it's like, oh, he wants to be a good dad, but like, this kid is not interesting in any way, shape, or form until he pushes a piano into someone, and then, well, that's quickly dropped. They're like, don't tell anyone you did that, okay? And I mean, you murdered a man. You'll probably have psychological issues for a really long time, but we're just going to keep this between you and Mom, okay? And why is there a Kryptonite Island? Well, why is Lex Luthor's plan always some kind of weird business thing? Like,
yeah, it's, well...
like, why is he so obsessed with real estate?
That's him in the movies, yeah. That's...
No one gets Lex Luthor.
Like the average person, like, probably thinks that, like, why is Lex Luthor even a threat to Superman? Why is he an interesting character? It's like, well, in the comics, you know, his genius rivals Superman's superpowers, and that's interesting. And then Lex Luthor has a lot of layers to him. Like, you know, he's built up Metropolis. He considers himself like the peak of humanity. And then along comes the literal peak of humanity. Yeah, and he has to face that.
Yeah, and a lot of the times it's written in some ways where he thinks, what they tried to do in Batman vs. Superman but failed at is he sees Superman as a threat to everybody, and he's just like, I'm the good guy.
Yeah,
which that's a big part of Superman Red Son as well, I believe.
Yeah, but you don't get that in any Superman movie. Lex Luthor's always this odd business guy who's got this
kryptonite,
who's got some kind of evil plan involving real estate. It's like, what are you doing?
We're gonna make a quick buck. Is what he's doing. But yeah, it's no good. Well, I hope if you've seen all these movies, because we just spoiled all of them.
I'm sure we're forgetting some.
Yeah, if you have any others that you want to remind us of that are really awful.
Can you remember any, Kyle?
Yeah.
They're just awful.
Have we mentioned that Kyle sits in on most of the episodes as our special guest and correspondent? We've also got he's asleep right now, but we've also got our good friend Randy Hurley. Shout out to Randy Hurley. His wife listens to this show, so she'll hear this shout out.
Hello.
Also,
Alyssa.
shout out to you. What's her name?
Alyssa.
Shout out to Alyssa. Thanks for listening. But yeah, if you guys have anything else you want to, any other movies you're like, these are awful, why didn't you talk about these? Definitely.
There's others, like there's Blade Trinity and Spawn.
Well, let them tell us, Sean.
Wow, okay.
But yeah, send us a letter about it, theunnecessarygentlemen@gmail.com. Well, Sean, we've got just enough time for one of our famous segments, and I mean...
Check it out.
Yeah, the last segment we do. Is that how we say it now?
That's how Hitler says check it out. Check it out.
Well, for the record, we don't support Hitler or any of the things he says.
Half of us supports Hitler. Which one?
None of us do. Hitler's a bad dude.
Did I not tell you about the direction we're moving this podcast?
I thought we were talking about something else. What are we talking? I don't know. I'm losing track of time. Anyway, let's check some stuff out. You said you were going to check something out, but you didn't have time. So tell us what you were going to check out.
I told you at the beginning.
Really?
Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Oh, yeah, you can't check that out. Well, what else are you checking out?
Snoop.
Look, it's late.
I saw Justice League. What did I see? It is late. I saw Teen Titans, the Judas Contract.
Oh, yeah? I saw that as well. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I liked it.
I liked it too, yeah? I think it was definitely a better Teen Titans film than the last one.
Well, it was actually a Teen Titans movie.
Right?
Not Justice League crammed into it.
Yeah, and... it kind of had some of those issues I mentioned a while back before it came out and I read the storyline. I didn't know how they were going to throw in some of these bigger plot points and really have it kind of make an impact. I feel like it did okay. Obviously, to just kind of do it in this one movie, you're going to lose some things. Like, you're not really going to have time to build up some of these relationships and then later tear them down.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think...
Well, also, this movie was a little bit longer. It was like a good 10, 15 minutes longer than they normally make these animated movies, which helped.
I think it did help. And action sequence is pretty good.
Yeah. The animation's definitely a lot better in this one than the previous Teen Titans one.
Yeah, for sure. I think they kind of got some negative criticism on the last one, and they were like, this is a pretty big... because this is if people read Teen Titans, this is like one of the required stories you're supposed to go through. It's really great. And... like I said, I think they handled it as well as they could have in this, because it's a mix of the New 52 universe we're still in and the Judas Contract itself. And I think that was handled really well, because Nightwing and Damian are both in this. I didn't know how that was going to go.
I think Damian's, his character is a little bit less annoying.
He's gotten so much better.
Yeah.
He's just not like this, like, he's more like Batman, where he's just like, he's always turned on. Like, he's always just like, and it's kind of funny with him because it's just like this little kid, and I think Dick is just like, do you ever bathe? He's like, or he's like, do you ever get out of that outfit? And he's like, only when I bathe. He's like, it's probably time you do that. And he smells himself. So yeah, it's stuff like that, because currently right now in the Reaver stuff as well, I think they took cues from that. And some of like the older stuff where Dick was Batman, they kind of have this brotherly relationship develop over their stories, and I'm starting to see that now, and I really enjoy it. What you thinking about?
I'm thinking about how I need sleep.
Well, you can check some of that out later, Sean.
What was I going to say about this movie? First, like 5 minutes of the movie, you kind of get, the previous Teen Titans. It's kind of an homage to Young Justice.
Yeah, you had that was really good. Yeah. And like I said before, they released a clip of that.
Yeah, you have all the original voice actors from Young
Kid Flash
Justice,
and the guy who does Roy Harper came back. Yeah, I noticed that.
Even Bumblebee.
Bumblebee, yeah. And was it is there anyone else was Beast Boy? Yeah, that's what's weird. Beast Boy's the same Beast Boy. Even though that was I guess it was 5 years ago. Does he just not age? Because that is the same, when Nightwing is on the team in this movie, he kind of he just kind of comes back, and Starfire's the new leader. They kind of have they have a fun little back and forth.
Well, a lot of times the team's called Teen Titans, but half of them are 21.
Yeah, it's whatever. But yeah, that's the thing. So the original members are still Beast Boy, who I thought was DH, but he's not. He's just, I guess, just stays the same size or whatever. And then Starfire and Dick are back. And that was kind of fun to kind of have this old team, and then how they used to do things. Nightwing's giving orders, and Starfire's like, you said I was going to be a leader now, and I really like to be the leader. So, yeah, which I enjoyed their... I'm not a huge shipper of anything, but I enjoyed their relationship. It was fun. They got through some real milestones in this movie, Sean. Some big stuff happened between
They got an apartment.
They got a nice little apartment. I mean, it got wrecked, but, when you're a superhero, it's going to happen. Oh, and also, it looks like they're going to keep doing these movies with more Teen Titans stuff, which could be good.
Yeah, there's Jericho in this.
They added Jericho at the end, but they also... they brought in Donna Troy, little baby Donna Troy. It's good to see that the DC finally acknowledged she still exists, because they don't like her that much for some reason. I guess because she looks too much like Wonder Woman, so they got Cassie in there. But yeah, it's good. Check it out. Read the comic first, or don't read both. Read and watch both. Get an audiobook. I don't know, but
audiobook for a comic.
Get an audiobook for the movie as well. Maybe we'll do a commentary on it. You can listen to that. Don't do that. They watch the movie first. Well, Sean, I'm still checking out Blackest Night. It's really good. I talked about that last week, so I'm not going to harp on it. Just your stomach.
Yeah.
Hungry?
A lot has happened to me today. I've experienced a lot.
Good. Well, I checked out one other thing I mentioned a little bit earlier. I watched Split.
Yeah. How was that?
Well, as you know, I have a lot of Hollywood nemesis. One of them being Tom Cruise, the other being James Cameron, and then I guess the newest one to add to this podcast is M. Night Shyamalan. He ruined The Last Airbender for me, as for a lot of people. I just think he's a director he had that gimmick in the 90s, and it's just been carrying him as far as it has. This movie, I think it was only it was less than maybe $10 million or something like that. It was real low budget. And I think that's helping him, because they're not really trusting him with these, huge amounts of money. He has to be more creative with his storytelling. And so, everyone saw the previews for Split. It's the guy it's James McAvoy, who has 23 different personalities, and he kidnaps these girls, but you don't know why. And not to go too much into it, I don't want to spoil it, but it adds, it's not just he's I'm crazy and I have personality disorders. It's interesting because they kind of have a narrator on the side who is a character in the movie who knows James McAvoy's character, and it's working as a narration of kind of what someone with this disorder is. It's not like they're necessarily just crazy. It's just this is how they function, and how the weird supernatural element to it is just it's this theory that if this personality has bad eyesight, then they'll actually have bad eyesight. But then, this other personality, when it's active, doesn't need glasses. So it's just kind of how it affects, how you're affected psychologically throughout the different personalities affects you physically, and it focuses on that, and what he needs them for kind of plays into that. the acting's pretty solid in it. It's mostly just there's 3 girls, but it's mostly just Anya Taylor-Joy, who's going to be in the New Mutants we talked about earlier, and then James McAvoy he's the reason this movie is as good as it is. His acting is amazing because it's not one of those things that just he yells a little bit if he's a different personality, which he'll change his voice and everything, and his accent will come back sometimes. But even just his mannerisms, like how he stands up, how he looks at people, when he's one of these different personalities, you get a sense of I know exactly who they're talking to in this scene. My biggest problem is it does that thing I always hate with these kind of stories is it's he has this multiple number of personalities because it's such a shocking number to have this many, but you're only going to see 6. It's just say he has 6.
Yeah.
Just say, and it's not like the number means anything. It's just again, it's just, this will really shock people and get them in here. Just say he has 6 and or however many he has. But other than that, it's fine. I think one thing I can kind of talk about is because a lot of people know this at this point, and spoilers just in case you don't, is the big twist is supposed to be that this movie ties into Unbreakable. Is Mr. Glass and all that stuff. It's connected. It's loosely there. I think there's a better twist in there that actually just is kind of closed into the movie that I won't talk about, and that relates to the whole personalities thing. But I don't know why this is the movie that they want to tie into that old, because if you've never seen this movie and you saw that last scene, you're just I don't know what this is. I don't know why this is important. Since when does Bruce Willis have hair again?
Well, Unbreakable kind of played with the ideas of, these characters got powers. They were kind of on a spectrum because of it. You have Mr. Glass who had osteoporosis, so the idea was, well, there must be somebody on the other end of the spectrum who kind of is super strong or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess it kind of plays with that, but with mental illness, that's why I would kind of be in the same universe. But
yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen Split yet, but I plan on watching it soon.
Yeah, watch it. It's pretty. I can give it to you later. But like I said, I don't like M. Night Shyamalan, but like I said, I think this is just as well as he's kind of held. He's at a point now where he has to throw in a twist because that's just his thing. So people expect him to do it. But I also just think he's just this'll shock the masses. Just make a movie. I don't need a gimmick. But the story's definitely good. Like I said, certain things bog it down, but acting is a reason enough to watch this movie. James McAvoy's great. Love him in anything he's in. Even when he's losing his hair on stone slabs. Well, Sean, that's all I checked out. I'll check out more stuff next week. Hopefully I'll get some more sleep when you do that. But let's let the people go. Tell them where we're at. As I said before, we are the Unnecessary Gentlemen. We do a show every week. Me and my lovely co-host Sean Doyle. Say hey one more time, Sean.
Hello.
There he is. And if you guys like this episode, by chance, and you want to listen to any of our other episodes, find those on SoundCloud and YouTube and iTunes. If you'd like to talk to us directly, do that. You can find us on the Twitters. I'm at Snoop_Lynch. Sean is at the first Sean. And send us a letter, theunnecessarygentlemen@gmail.com. We'd like to get your comments, figure out what you think, what you want us to talk about. Tell us some of your worst comic book movies and why. We'd love to give it a good read. And join us next week for what I know Sean is excited for. We're going to watch and review the new Alien film, Alien Covenant.
Yep.
He can't wait. Just a smile on his face. I can see it right now. Beaming from ear to ear. He's also crying. Tears of joy. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.